Good morning, friends. Good morning, good morning. Welcome to Interfaith Community Sanctuary. We're so happy to have you today on this brisk fall morning, and being here in warmth and community is a very good place to be. I think we'll all agree with that. My name is Sally Jo, and I'm one of the co-ministers here at Interfaith Community Sanctuary. And I just lit our peace candles here on the altar and opened the altar so that all the wisdom from these sacred texts and all the sacred texts of the universe can flow out into our environment and help us speak and act with wisdom and compassion today. And I lit the candle for the Divine Feminine, and we'll be hearing a little reading about that in a few minutes. So I think we will begin by calling in our ancestors and honoring our first people. And George is going to do that for us. Thank you, George.
Good morning, and thank you, Sally Jo. Thank you all. And thanks, everyone, for being here. And I've shared this before, actually, but it's one of my favorite, as we're both honoring our ancestors, calling in and honoring our ancestors and honoring our first peoples. I have kind of two readings today, and they kind of both feed into that. And one is from this absolutely beautiful little book called Embers, an Ojibwe's Meditation by a gentleman called Richard Wagamies. And here's what he was talking about our ancestors. I've been considering the phrase, all my relations, for some time now. It is hugely important. It is our saving grace in the end. It points to the truth that we are all related, that we are all connected, and we belong to each other. The most important word is all. Not just those who look like me, sing like me, dance like me, speak like me, pray or behave like me. All my relations. It means every person, just as it means every blade of grass, rock, mineral, and creature. We live because everything else does. If we were to collectively choose to live that teaching, the energy of that consciousness would heal us all and heal the planet. We do it one person, one heart at a time. We are connected. We are the answer. As we begin our service here today, we want to respectfully acknowledge that this event is taking place on occupied Coast Salish land, and that the sanctuary building sits on the homeland of the Duwamish people. We pay respect to the Coast Salish elders, past and present, and extend that respect to their descendants and to all indigenous peoples. To acknowledge this land is to recognize the history of settler colonization, which continues to displace indigenous people today. It is also to recognize these lands, waters, and their significance for the resilient and wise peoples who continue to thrive in this region, despite the consequences of displacement and broken treaties. Those who hold settler privilege in this city must work towards supporting the Duwamish people and all indigenous people, using the various forms of wealth and privilege that they reap due to it. Land acknowledgement inherently recognizes that settler colonialism is an ongoing process and that we have a responsibility to educate ourselves on what it means and looks like, while fully supporting Native peoples in fighting for their rights and their land back. Thank you.
Thank you, George. And at this point, we're going to take care of a little bit of other business or sort of announcements of our upcoming gatherings that are happening in our community. And as most of you know, we are not just a Sunday morning operation here, but we have classes going on all throughout the week. We have a website which has many different announcements and descriptions of those classes and gatherings. Some of them are weekly, some of them are bi-weekly, some of them are monthly, and so on. And the variety is really wonderful to behold, because there is a meditation group, a silent meditation group on Thursday evenings. There are zikrs, or chanting and whirling. These are open to the public, and you can learn about these different types of practices, or you can already be knowing how to do them. We have a Course in Miracles, which meets once a week. We have a Native American medicine circle, and we honor them all because they bring us different aspects of our spirituality and bring us together to celebrate different aspects of our spirituality. And we also have special events that come up now and then. And we have a food drive going on right now, and a eyeglass donation drive going on. The food bank, of course, this is for the Ballard Food Bank, and it's a holiday food drive. So there's a box up here, there's a box downstairs. So when you remember it next time, bring some food to share with neighbors over November up till early December. And then the glasses go to the Soraya Attar Medical Clinic in Bangladesh, which is a very important project that is sponsored by, and has been sponsored by, the Interfaith Community Sanctuary before we even were in this building. We sponsored this project as a school for girls in Bangladesh, in the ancestral village of Jamal and his brother and sister, who all live here now. His brother and sister-in-law live in Bangladesh part-time. And the clinic is in their ancestral village in the rural area of Bangladesh. And this is a clinic for women and children. We have a dinner coming up on November 15th? November 15th, which is a Saturday evening. And it'll be at Unity in Linwood, because we need a big space for up to 80 people. We hope to have a good crowd. We do this every year in the fall, and we're very happy to have this time to hear back from our folks who are doing the work on the ground in the clinic, and all the new developments, the eye clinic that has opened, and the days have expanded from 4 days a week to 6 days a week, I think 7 days a week now. Everything is on a good trajectory for increasing the services and getting work on the birthing center that we hope to build over the next year. So you can hear all about our new plans and projects on that date, and I'll be sending out this week a link where you can purchase a ticket to the dinner. It's $40 to attend the dinner, and it is a fundraising event, so we'll be trying to raise our annual funds for the next year, and we hope people can participate and enjoy the wonderful food you'll get for $40. Believe me, it'll be worth it just for the dinner, because we get it catered by a local South Asian restaurant. So please join us for that. And if you have some spare eyeglass frames or actual eyeglasses, put them here, because Jamal's sister Isu and his nieces will be going to Bangladesh in December after the dinner, and they can take another round of eyeglasses there for our new eyeglass clinic, which just opened about 6 months ago. So we're happy to report all that. Other events, Jamal, is there something you want me to mention? Do we have a firm place for the Thanksgiving celebration?
Two annual Thanksgiving programs.
Okay, when you speak.
I forget the dates though. Yeah, two wonderful annual Thanksgiving program. One at Center for Spiritual Living, and the other one at a wonderful church called The Well, where we have done it for many years. In fact, 1 year we had 250 people attend.
That's in
In Queen Anne, yes.
Yeah,
So basically, this annual Thanksgiving program is a call to several houses of worship in the Seattle area. We get together, and the program is totally experiential. So there's no talking heads like me.
So the Northwest Interfaith one, the Well is on the Northwest Interfaith dinner, Thanksgiving, it's not a dinner, sorry. Thanksgiving celebration is in the afternoon, 2:30 to 4 on Sunday, November 23rd, and that will be at the Well that's on Queen Anne. That's the name of the church there.
It's a beautiful church. Yeah.
And then on the next week, on November 26th, which is a Wednesday evening, there's a gratitude service being sponsored by Center for Spiritual Living at Green Lake, and that will be in the evening from 7 to 8 p.m. And they've been partnering with us a lot with our dinner with others and our lunches for others. And so they're offering us, inviting us to their annual gratitude service on the 26th of November. So Thanksgiving and the Christmas season, the holiday season is coming up, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, and we will be having various programs. We're planning a little holiday, what did we call it, Joey? Open house and craft fair bake sale, which we think will probably fall on December 5th, which is a Sunday. And but I'm not going to say that for sure yet, because we have to confirm with the blues concert that's supposed to happen on that same afternoon. So that's a Sunday afternoon where we'll have a lot of fun events going on. But we try to make it a festive area, a festive place to be in the holidays, no matter what you're celebrating, and including everything we're celebrating, to raise our spirits and prepare us to meet the dark winter and find our way there. So thank you for attending whatever speaks to you on all those different events. And I know the folks online, we're going to mention now that if you'd like to give your offering. Pardon? Oh, no, we didn't. I'll do that next. Sorry. It's here in my program. And so, I forgot what I was saying, but couldn't have been too important. Oh, yeah, people at home, if you would like to contribute to our collection, we pass our plate later in the service, but online you can do that by just clicking on our website, interfaithcommunitysanctuary.org. All right, now let's get back to the spiritual part of our service, and these are the social part of our service. And we will go ahead and do our offering for the Divine Feminine, and Nina will do that for us today, and then we'll talk to you a little bit about our universal worship orientation.
Thank you, Sally Jo. Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me? Okay. This is from Mary Ann Williamson. Love is what we are born with. Fear is what we learn. The spiritual journey is the unlearning of fear and prejudices and the acceptance of love back in our hearts. Love is the essential reality and our purpose on earth. To be consciously aware of it, to experience love in ourselves and others, is the meaning of life. Meaning does not lie in things. Meaning lies in us.
Thank you. And Rich, you're going to share with us a little.
Well, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Sally Jo had earlier welcomed you all to the warmth of community. And as I look outside, I think Lord knows we could use some warmth. But what we are going to be celebrating today, that this is the second Sunday of the month, and at Interfaith Community Sanctuary, it is on the second Sunday of the month that we honor the universal worship. I firmly believe that at this time, the world is on the verge of a new age, a new spiritual awakening. And I know it can seem difficult to think that when you look at everything that's going on in the world today, but the last time this happened, it happened on the verge of a huge tumult too. So, the reason I bring that up is at the end of the 19th, beginning of the 20th century, many spiritual giants arose in the world. And many of them came here to this country to visit too. Swami Vivekananda was one, Paramahansa Yogananda was another, and a third, and the one that I want to mention today, was Hazrat Inayat Khan. Hazrat Inayat Khan, like those other two luminaries, came from India, and he was probably the first person to bring Sufism to the West as a public phenomena where people were aware of what he was doing. I don't want to say that he was the first person ever to bring Sufism to the West. because that would deny the experience of many African slaves who were Muslims and Sufis and brought here against their will. But he brought Hazrat Inayat Khan taught Sufism to the West, the initial movement of it. And while he was here in the West, he also developed a ceremony called the Universal Worship. And this is a ceremony that pays homage to the great religious traditions of the world. You see in front of you a table. And on that table, you see 8 pictures. And they represent 8 spiritual traditions. Now, there are more than that in the world. I mean, we all know this. But there are 6 here that Hazrat Inayat Khan said you need to honor. And there's 2 more that we've added. And you're allowed to do that, to add other traditions to it. And I won't go through what they all are because, believe me, you'll catch up during the service. But that is, Hazrat Inayat Khan brought that to us. And for me, this is for me. This is the quintessence, this ceremony, of what we do here at the sanctuary. Okay, paying homage to all the world's different beliefs, different faiths. Even lack of belief, which is a form of belief. But we honor all of it. Now, along with that, here at Interfaith, we also, each year, we come up with a discernment. I want to say we discern a discernment. What we think is something that we want to share with not only the community of ICS, but with the world. This year, that discernment has been sanctuary. I'm going to stop talking now because Sally Jo is going to tell us a little bit more about that specific discernment and about what aspect of it we are going to be celebrating and acknowledging this month. Sally Jo.
Thank you, Rich, for that beautiful introduction. And as Rich was saying, our overall annual theme is called An Invitation to Create Sanctuary in Community. So we know we are worshiping here in a building that we call a sanctuary building, but we also recognize that this is very much a community organization, and we're creating sanctuary all the time in different ways, and that's what we're exploring a little bit this year. And each month we have a different theme. This month, for the month of October, the theme is Sanctuary for the Self. And this is a deep theme, as they all are. We had Sanctuary for Nature last month. This is Sanctuary for the Self. So I'm going to be going into some spiritual aspects of the self in my comments later, so I'm not going to go into that now, but we have a nice little write-up here of how important it is to be in touch with ourself, our inner self, and give ourself time to process, even while we're in community, or sometimes while we're not in community. I come here and practice the piano every day and by myself, but I love to be in this room, on this piano, having that communion with my musical self. Dave will understand that because he's practiced on this piano, and it's a wonderful feeling. So this is our haven from the outer life, and it's where we bring ourselves to nourish ourselves and develop an inner calm and an inner spaciousness. So we will begin with the universal worship now, where you will hear from all the different traditions, and then at the end, we'll have time to share our hearts about that. So let's begin with our invocation, which we, the 3 Shirags here, will start an invocation, and you're all welcome to stand, if you're able. Towards the One, the perfection of love, harmony, and beauty, the only being, who united with all the illuminated souls who form the embodiment of the Master, the Spirit of guidance.
To the glory of the omnipresent God, we kindle this light, symbolically representing the religion of Hinduism. To the glory of the omnipresent God, we kindle this light, symbolically representing the religion of Buddhism. To the glory of the omnipresent God, we kindle this light, symbolically representing the spirit of Zoroastrianism. To the glory of the omnipresent God, we kindle this light, symbolically representing the religion of Taoism. To the glory of the omnipresent God, we kindle this light, symbolically representing the religions of the indigenous peoples. To the glory of the omnipresent God, we kindle this light, symbolically representing the religion of Judaism. To the glory of the omnipresent God, we kindle this light, symbolically representing the religion of Christianity. To the glory of the omnipresent God, we kindle this light, symbolically representing the religion of Islam. To the glory of the omnipresent God, we kindle this light, symbolically representing all those who, whether known or unknown to the world, have held aloft the light of truth amongst the darkness of human ignorance.
And now, for those who are able, please stand and join us in the first prayer, which is written in your order of service. Praise be to thee, most supreme God, omnipotent, omnipresent, all-pervading, the only being. Take us in thy parental arms. Raise us from the denseness of the earth. Thy beauty do we worship. To thee do we give willing surrender. Most merciful and compassionate God, the idealized Lord of the whole humanity, thee only do we worship, and to thee alone do we aspire. Open our hearts towards thy beauty. Illuminate our souls with divine light. O thou, the perfection of love, harmony, and beauty, all-powerful creator, sustainer, judge, and forgiver of our shortcomings, Lord God of the East and of the West, of the worlds above and below, and of the seen and unseen beings. Pour upon us thy love and thy light. Give sustenance to our bodies, hearts, and souls. Use us for the purpose that thy wisdom chooses, and guide us on the path of thine own goodness. Draw us closer to thee every moment of our life, until in us be reflected thy grace, thy glory, thy wisdom, thy joy, and thy peace. Amen. Please be seated.
A reading from the Hindu tradition, from the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is speaking to Arjuna. Still your mind in me, your intellect in me, and without doubt you will be united with me forever. If you cannot still your mind in me, learn to do so through the regular practice of meditation. If you lack the will for such self-discipline, engage yourself in my work, for selfless service can lead you at last to complete fulfillment. If you are unable to do even this, surrender yourself to me, discipline yourself, and renouncing the results of all your actions. We offer to the omniscient God our reverence, our homage, and our gratitude for the light of the divine wisdom. A reading from the Buddhist tradition, actually 2 readings today. The first is from the Dhammapada. To straighten the crooked, you must first do a harder thing. Straighten yourself. You are your only master. Who else? Subdue yourself and discover your master. You are the source of all purity and all impurity. No one purifies another. Never neglect your work for another's, however great their need. Your work is to discover your work, and then with all your heart to give yourself to it. The second reading is from The Places That Scare You, written by Pema Chodron. The only reason we don't open our hearts and minds to other people is that they trigger confusion in us that we don't feel brave enough or sane enough to deal with. To the degree that we look clearly and compassionately at ourselves, we feel confident and fearless about looking into someone else's eyes. Compassion is not a relationship between healer and the wounded. It's a relationship between equals. Only when we know our own darkness well can we be present to the darkness of others. Compassion becomes real when we recognize our shared humanity. We offer to the omniscient God our reverence, our homage, and our gratitude for the light of the divine compassion. A reading from the Zoroastrian tradition, Zoroastra. One need not scale the heights of the heavens nor travel along the highways of the world to find Ahura Mazda. With purity of mind and holiness of heart, one can find God in one's own heart. A reflected, contented mind is the best possession. Seek your happiness in the happiness of all. Turn yourself not away from 3 best things: good thought, good word, and good deed. We offer to the omniscient God our reverence, our homage, and our gratitude for the light of the divine purity. A reading from the Taoist tradition, from the Tao Te Ching. We join spokes together in a wheel, but it is the center hold that makes the wagon move. We shape clay into a pot, but it is the emptiness inside that holds whatever we want. We hammer wood for a house, but it is the inner space that makes it livable. We work with being, but non-being is what we use. We offer to the omniscient God our reverence, our homage, and our gratitude for the light of the divine way.
From the indigenous traditions, a message from the Council of 13 Indigenous Grandmothers. As you move through these changing times, be easy on yourself and be easy on one another. You will find that you are working less in the yang modes than you are used to. You will stop working so hard at getting from point A to point B the way you have in the past, but instead will spend more time experiencing yourself in the whole and your place in it. Instead of traveling to a goal out there, you will voyage deeper into yourself. Your mother's grandmother knew how to do this. Your ancestors from long ago knew how to do this. They knew the power of the feminine principle, and because you carry their DNA in your body, this wisdom and this way of being is within you. Call on it. Call it up. Invite your ancestors in. As the yang-based habits and the decaying institutions on our planet begin to crumble, look up. A breeze is stirring. Feel the sun on your wings. Mona Palaka, Hopi, Havasupai, Tiwa tribes. We offer to thee, omniscient God, our reverence, our homage, and our gratitude for the light of the divine reconciliation. From the Jewish scriptures, the 23rd Psalm. God is my shepherd. There is nothing I lack. You lay me down in lush meadows. You guide me towards tranquil waters, reviving my soul. You lead me down paths of righteousness, for that is your way. And when I walk through the valley, overshadowed by death, I will fear no harm, for you are with me. Your rod and staff, they comfort me. You spread a table before me. In the face of my greatest fears, you drench my head with oil. My cup overflows the brim. Surely goodness and kindness will accompany me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the holy for the length of my days. We offer to thee, omniscient God, our reverence, our homage, and our gratitude for the light of the divine covenant. From the Christian religion. My daughter, build yourself 2 cells. First, a real cell, so that you do not run about much and talk unless it is needful, or you can do it out of love for our neighbor. Next, build yourself a spiritual cell, which you can always take with you, and that is the cell of true self-knowledge. You will find there the knowledge of God's goodness to you. Here, there are really 2 cells in one, and if you live in one, you must also live in the other. Otherwise, the soul will either despair or be presumptuous. If you dwell in self-knowledge alone, you would despair. If you dwell in the knowledge of God alone, you would be tempted to presumption. One must go with the other, and thus you will reach perfection. St. Catherine of Siena, an Italian Christian mystic and layperson from the 14th century. We offer to thee, omniscient God, our reverence, our homage, and our gratitude for the light of the divine self-sacrifice. From the religion of Islam, we have two readings. Consider the sun and its radiant splendor, and the moon as she reflects the sun. Consider the day as it reveals the world, and the night as it veils it darkly. Consider the sky in its wondrous make, and the earth in its broad expanse. Consider the human soul, and how it is formed in accordance with what is meant to be, and how it is imbued with human failings, as well as with the consciousness of God. To a happy state shall indeed attain those who cause this self to grow in purity, and truly lost are those who bury it in darkness. From the Quran, Surah 91, verses 9 and 10. We offer to thee, omniscient God, our reverence, our homage, and our gratitude for the light of the divine unity. Excuse me, there's a second reading. I'm sorry. Know thyself, and you shall know thy sustainer. This is from a hadith or tradition of the Prophet Muhammad. And do not feel lonely. The entire universe is inside you. Stop acting so small. You are the universe in ecstatic motion. Set your life on fire. Seek those who fan your flames. From Rumi. We offer to thee, omniscient God, our reverence, our homage, and our gratitude for the light of the divine unity.
Thank you. Let's take a few moments of silence to let those beautiful readings sink into our consciousness. And now, for those who are able and willing to stand for the second prayer. Most gracious Lord, Master, Messiah, and Savior of humanity, we greet thee with all humility. Thou art the first cause and the last effect, the divine light and the spirit of guidance, Alpha and Omega. Thy light is in all forms, thy love in all beings, in a loving mother, in a kind father, in an innocent child, in a helpful friend, in an inspiring teacher. Allow us to recognize thee in all thy holy names and forms, as Sita and Rama, as Radha and Krishna, as Shiva and Shakti, as Buddha. Let us know thee as Abraham, as Solomon, as Zarathustra, as white buffalo calf woman, as Moses, as Jesus, and as Mary, as Muhammad, and in many other names and forms, known and unknown to the world. We adore thy past. Thy present deeply enlightens our being, and we look for thy blessings in the future. O Messenger, Christ, Nabi, the Rasul of God, thou whose heart constantly reaches upward, thou comest on earth with a message, as a dove from above when Dharma decays, and speak the word that is put into thy mouth, as the light fills the crescent moon. Let the star of the divine light shining in thy heart be reflected in the hearts of thy devotees. May the message of God reach far and wide, illuminating and making the whole humanity as one single family in the parenthood of God. Amen. You may be seated.
The domain of the mystic is their self, over which they are king. The desire to develop one's personality is the real purpose of human life. If a person would become straightforward, certainly a straight way would be open before them. We offer to the omniscient God our reverence, our homage, and our gratitude for the light of the divine truth.
So I'd like to offer some reflections on the scripture readings we have today. It was my distinct privilege and pleasure to find these readings in the various scriptures of the various traditions that we celebrate on the second Sunday. And it was a really deep experience for me as I was using my contemplation and my meditation to get a little deeper into what is this thing we call the self, and how does it relate to our spiritual life. And being someone who really, being the daughter of a scientist, of a rocket scientist of all things, and having a deep respect for science in my life, all of my life, I started thinking about the cosmos because my dad was, some of you knew my dad, he loved studying cosmology, and he talked about the stars and the universe and the creation of the universe, although he was a self-proclaimed atheist and he didn't believe in God. But that's okay. He had a great awe for the universe and the creation of the universe, and we talked about the creation of the universe a lot. And he talked about how we are all made of stardust, right? We have all the elements of the universe in our bodies that were created when the universe was first created, and then on in the many millennia after that. And we know, Carl Sagan and other scientists made this a popular idea that we are stardust. And so it occurred to me, one of the things that occurred to me in my meditation is, Einstein, my dad really honored and practically worshipped Albert Einstein, and he studied him a lot and taught me a lot about him. And he taught me about E equals MC squared, right? That energy and matter are really interchangeable. And so it occurred to me this week that not only are we stardust and our bodies are made of the matter from the universe, it also must contain all the energy of the universe, or must contain energy, not all of it, but some of the energy of the universe. So I've been thinking about, not only are we made of stardust, but we're made of star energy. And so that has brought me around to the practice we're going to do in a little bit, which is a practice of Qigong, which is a practice of gathering the energy of the universe and bringing it into our consciousness. What I noticed about all the traditions that we read from today is they all emphasized that divinity is within us. So that's why I was digging deep. What does that mean? Divinity is within us. It doesn't mean we're God. We are not God. We didn't create the universe, but we have stardust. We have star energy in us. And it also emphasizes, though, that divinity is also outside of us. And this connects to our theme from last month and the theme of nature, and how all of nature, and how I remember Steve Crawford in his talk, he talked about we are nature. Human beings are part of nature. We are nature. We're one aspect of nature. And so is God. And so, or divinity, or whatever you want to call it. So this interconnection between nature and the human being, and the fact that we have these attributes and these divine qualities within us, and we're trying to connect with those qualities. And the thing is that in some traditions, and in the Buddhist, for example, in the Buddhist reading, it talked about to straighten the crooked, you must first do the harder things, straighten yourselves. So this divinity that we have inside of ourselves isn't perfect. We have this personality inside of ourselves. And that's what develops as part of our life story when we're born, and we have experiences, and we go through trials and tribulations, and we respond to all those circumstances of life in various ways, and that forms our personality, and sometimes called our ego. So we have this ego, and we have this divine self, and what's going on in there? Are they battling each other, or are we, which is true, which is right? How do we deal with this? And the interesting thing is that, again, in the traditions, we were told in all these readings especially, we have a job to do. We have something called human will, self-will. We were given the capacity to grow inside, to become closer to the divinity within us, and to, I think Jamal always puts it this way, turn that ego, that commanding master of the ego, into a willing servant who is doing what we ask it to do. Okay? So if you don't mind, let's go back a minute to a couple of these verses, and you'll see where I got some of these crazy ideas that I'm giving you. In the Islamic tradition, this beautiful verse from the Quran, it starts with consider the sun and its radiant splendor, and the moon as she reflects the sun. Consider the day as it reveals this world, and the night as it veils it darkly. These are the elements of nature you're hearing about. Consider the sky and its wondrous make, and the earth and its broad expanse. Now, consider the human soul. Now, in Arabic, the word soul is nafs, N-A-F-S, nafs. And it is the same word for soul and self and ego and spirit. Well, spirit is ruh. Spirit is what God breathes into us. But soul, self, and ego are all called by the word nafs. So, and that's the word in this line. Consider the human nafs, and how it is formed in accordance with what is meant to be, and how it is imbued with human failings as well as with the consciousness of God. I'm going to repeat that line one more time. How it is imbued with human failings as well as with the consciousness of God. To a happy state shall indeed attain those who cause this self to grow in purity, and truly lost are those who bury it in darkness. So again, we have the free will throughout our life, through every decision we make, every word we speak, every action we take. We can grow in purity, or we can bury ourselves in darkness. And we do that. And it goes right along with the Zoroastrian quote about how with purity of mind and holiness of heart, one can find God in one's own heart. So there's this message of purifying our heart and then being in touch with the divinity within us. And what's inside of us, like the Taoists say, is what's really important, what's inside. Now, the other message, though, that comes from all of the scriptures is we're also interconnected with everybody else. So I have my free will, you have your free will. So how are we connected? Why does it matter Why don't I just go off into a room and sit by myself and realize my God consciousness and everything will be okay? Well, some people do try to do that, but according to Pema Chodron, who's one of my favorite Buddhist teachers, she emphasized the deeply interconnectedness from our common divinity. And that as we understand and connect with our own divinity, we will then be able to connect with other people's divinity. And beware, because when we connect with other people's ego and personality, things can go awry a little bit. You know, if we don't have that purity of heart, when we connect with others, that's when we get in fights with others or arguments, or we get all hurt and, you know, tied up in knots about what other people say to us or what other people think of us. That's when we're getting tied up in the personality stuff. So I think we all have had the experience if you're walking down the street and you see a little baby being pushed in a carriage, and the baby is smiling and laughing and waves at you, and you get so happy inside, right? You're like, hi, how are you? It's a little baby. It might be 1 year old or a half a year old, but they just connected with you because they looked at you and they waved to you and they were happy, and it made you happy, right? That happens to me all the time when I'm walking around Green Lake. And I realize I've connected with the divinity in that little child. And it wasn't hard to do. I didn't have to think, does that baby really like me? Or why is that baby smiling at me? Or anything like that. I just connected, right? And so, and by the way, I usually connect with their parent or who's ever pushing the buggy as well, because the parent gets delighted that the child has connected with me. And I then connect with the parent, and I send a little love to that parent. And this is a beautiful way we have of interconnecting with each other and kind of connecting with the energy dust we all have, the star energy that we have in our being, and growing that being and making it what it's meant to be, which is a beautiful, I would say, companion in our life to help us find joy and happiness and peace and tranquility in the world. So I encourage you to take these verses home and read them again and think about how they might apply to your own life and your own work, your inner, we call this inner work here, we call it the inner work of thinking about who are we really? Who am I really? And that's a lifelong project. I will warn you that I have come to believe that, and that it's something we do little by little every day with our small interactions, with observing our own thinking patterns and our own behavior patterns, and little by little we can purify that heart. And if we find something buried in darkness inside of us, you know, pick up the cover in the silence of your meditation or in the silence of your cup of tea or whatever it is. Pick up the cover and take a little peek at what it is you have buried in darkness. Because it could be something that you could assuage and that we can bring back around to our higher self and make it part of our life purpose. So those were some of my musings on the readings, and I know you will have your own, and they will be probably much more relevant to you than mine were, but it could help you maybe to see how important it is to start thinking about your inner divinity, the divinity outside of you in the natural world that we live in, and the stars above us and in the nature around us, connecting with that, and then connecting with the other human beings that we interact with all the time, and figuring out how we can do that in a loving and compassionate way. So thank you for indulging me on that little rumination. And I would like to try a little practice. It'll only take about 3 minutes. So if you can stand up comfortably, and you could also do this, though, from seated position if you prefer. and kind of spread out a little bit so that you're not going to bump into anybody if you stretch your arms out a little bit. And I'd like you to, I can't do this with my hands not free. Let me go up here and then you can see that. So if you just shake out a little bit and just let your muscles relax, because when we want to get energy into our body, it helps if our body is not too tense. And if your shoulders, like mine, tend to hold tension, just wiggle them out a little bit. And then get still and let your feet connect way down through the roots, through the bottom of your feet. Pretend there's a root, or imagine there's roots going way down, like the trees have roots way, way, way down into the earth, into the center of the earth, and making you very stable, and bringing up through those roots all that energy from the inner part of the earth. And then with your arms relaxed, I'd like you to gently draw them up as you inhale, only as far as it feels comfortable. Maybe this is as far as you want to go. Maybe you want to go a little higher, but don't hurt your shoulders. This is not a shoulder exercise. And as you inhale, you're going to come up and you're going to let your fingers be kind of, like everybody is, wide and a little bit curved. And you're bringing in the energy from the sky above and from the trees. The trees are waving in the wind right now. They're bringing us their energy, their chi energy. And we're going to bring it down to the top of our head as we exhale and let it come down, 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 slowly trickling into our body. This chi energy, my Chinese spiritual teacher calls it unconditional love. So it's also a form of this divine energy. And as that energy comes into our body, it goes to everywhere it's needed to balance out the yin and the yang. Remember, in the one reading, it was in the indigenous reading, it was talking about we need more balance between the yin and the yang. This chi exercise of gathering the chi helps our body balance. We don't have to do it for our body. Our body has its own intelligence, and this chi has its own intelligence. And as we bring this chi energy from the sides and the top and the trees and the animals, the clouds and the stars and the moon, and we bring it gently down into our own body through our own fingertips, it goes exactly where it's needed to nourish and energize our body in just the ways we need to be energized. And if there's any left over, it gets stored into our Dan Tian, which is just below our navel. So I'll be quiet. Let's do that a couple more times. You reach out, inhale, only as far as you can upward with being comfortable, and then down, exhale, slowly. Relaxing your body, letting all this energy fall into place. And then, just to show that we have plenty of chi energy in our bodies, we will bring our hands up to our heart and form a kind of a lotus shape. And from the heart center, we'll press out like this and let the chi energy go out into the world. So it's an ever circulating pattern of bringing the chi in and releasing it out as it's needed in the world. Maybe we're sending that energy out to a whole country across the globe. Maybe we're sending it to a family member or a friend or a strange person who needs our help we don't really know. And we can send this energy out and always have plenty more built up inside as long as we continue to nourish this energy and believe of the power that it has. So this kind of a movement, these simple gathering movements, there's no right or wrong way to do it. The important thing is it's called meditation in movement. It's a form of meditation, and therefore you can't do it wrong. But when you're doing it effectively, you will feel the energy entering your body, and the calmness. Remember, energy isn't all wild and crazy like the energy Rumi was talking about. The energy can also be very peaceful, very calming, very loving, very healing. And that is the chi energy of unconditional love that is part of, I believe, our divinity. And I just hope my dad's listening in, because this was a part of a conversation I never finished with him, which is how the energy of the universe is also part of our divinity. And I'd like to propose that as something for you all to think about. Thank you. And we will go ahead and do our third prayer, which is at the end here of your program, and then we'll come to a close with the portion of our service that relates to the universal worship. O thou who art the perfection of love, harmony, and beauty, the Lord of heaven and earth, open our hearts that we may hear thy voice, which constantly comes from within. Disclose to us thy divine light, which is hidden in our souls, that we may know and understand life better. Most merciful and compassionate God, give us thy great goodness. Teach us thy loving forgiveness. Raise us above the distinctions and differences which divide us. Send us the peace of thy divine Spirit, and unite us all in thy perfect being. Amen. Now, if you can remain standing just for a minute or two, the Shrugs, we are going to offer you a benediction, and please accept this blessing. May the blessings of God rest upon you. May God's peace abide with you. May God's presence illuminate your heart, now and forever. So this closes the universal worship part of our service, and it will be the end of our live streaming here this morning. We say goodbye to our wonderful friends out in cyberspace. We hope they enjoyed our service, benefited from it, and it gives us a chance here to have some moments of contemplation and thinking about what's on our own heart right now.